Hi there and welcome to another edition of Sports Stories with Sasi, brought to you by MatchDay Affairs. This week, we've got someone really special. We've got a former Liverpool player, a Scottish international, Charlie Adam. He played alongside Steven Gerrard and Luis Suarez for Liverpool, of course. And currently, he plays for Reading in the Championship. And I also asked him about Leeds and how he's been actually doing this. So without further ado, this is my interview. Let me introduce you to our guest today, Charlie Adam. He's played for a couple of clubs, and the most famous one being Liverpool. I'm really glad to have him on my show today. So let me welcome him. And hi, Charlie. Thanks for being on the show today.
Are you okay?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for taking time to being on my show. Really appreciate your time.
No problem. It's obviously a bit of a time difference, but it's good to come on.
Yeah, good stuff. Charlie, how have you been dealing with life in lockdown? It must be quite hard for a professional footballer.
Yeah, because obviously you have a routine and you have a normality in life where you just go and train, come home, you rest, you go home, next day you train again, rest, play a game. So to then have that taken away from you for 12, 16 weeks, it's been a long time, but it's good to spend time with the family, young kids, which is good. And they've enjoyed it, but it's nice to get back to work for the last few games of the season.
When you go back to training, of course, there were some measures taken into space in terms of social distancing and stuff like that. Did you find it a problem, or were you just happy to come back to playing football?
We were just happy to get back playing football. Obviously, we'd had plenty of testing. We're still getting tested twice a week at the moment till the season finishes, and yeah, it's worked well so far. And it's one of these that when you go back into it, you just want to keep playing football, and we've managed to do that.
Let's start by taking you back in time, because I think you are an inspirational story to many aspiring footballers as well. So I want to find out a little bit about your childhood days in terms of who were the influence in you getting to play football. I know your dad and your brother were professional footballers, and was it easy because you grew up in a football household that it was a natural thing for you to do?
It was. Obviously, I'm the oldest of the boys, and my dad was obviously a professional footballer for a little bit, and he pushed me into an avenue where, listen, I love playing the game. I love watching it. I love going and watching games live, and that was probably just where I was destined to be, really. But the biggest thing for me was I had him on my side, and the mistakes that he made, I had to learn from them. And yeah, it was a tough upbringing because it was hard all the time. He was on me all the time, but I enjoyed it, and still love it every day now.
I've got two young boys as well, 9 and 7, and I was a ex-professional player myself. And now that they are aspiring to be footballers, what I do is sometimes I feel as though I'm really hard on them. And it's interesting that you said your dad was hard on you. Did you appreciate it? You knew this was part of getting you ready for professional football?
No, because a lot of people would say to me, "How do you take it, and how do you get on with it?" But it was just what I was used to. It was tough at times, There was at times where it was just, I'd think that it wasn't for me, but it was the work at the end of it. If you want to become a football player, you've got to dedicate yourself, from the day 4, 5, 6 years of age to, people say about going and enjoying it. Yeah, enjoyment's it's what it is. You've got to enjoy it, play with a smile on your face, but you sort of got to have a dedication. When I was 10, 12 years of age, I was, I'd play in the street a little bit with my friends, but majority of the time I'd be playing on my own, just practicing against a wall or a bin shed, just kicking it up and down, touch, pass, and just trying to be the best player possible. And unfortunately for me, my career has gone okay, and still playing now, and great memories as a youngster.
Let's talk about your first club then. Where did you start your youth? Was it at Dundee that you actually started your youth career?
No, I started my youth. I started in a Sunday league boys club, like everybody else would. At the young age of 7, 8, 9, I would. I was there for 5 years. Dundee United Social Club. It was just went down one day and started playing and made a lot of good friends there and really enjoyed it. And we had a good team. We had a few players that went professional in time and. I was end up there 5 years, and then I went to Rangers to play in the youth development leagues, and I loved that there, and then eventually signed professional.
I'd like to ask about that moment when you actually were, I suppose, the crucial age where they talk about youth development. Did you always felt that you were good enough to be a pro at that age? Were people coming up to you and say, "Hey, you know what? You have the skills and you have the, I suppose, the quality to be a professional player"?
People always thought I was a good player, but the thing about my dad, he'd always keep my feet on the ground. He'd never get me too high, never too low, and it just keep me in the right path. And I'm fortunate that that's what I've done. And there's always outside influences that are going to talk you up and say you're the next best thing. You're a good player, and you should make it professional. It's not that easy. There's a lot of players nowadays, young players nowadays, that are good players, but you find themselves out of contract just because they made the wrong decision, and think that there's maybe something better out there, when really sometimes it's just better to stay and learn and surround yourself with the right people and progress in a different way. So it's it's a tough way to be, becoming a footballer, but the rewards are so good that if you do make it professionally, then it's a great life.
Let's talk about your childhood heroes. Did you have any childhood heroes? Especially, I'm pretty sure all of us grew up looking at one or two players and say, one day I want to be like them.
Oh yeah, when I was growing up, it was David Beckham, Roy Keane, Steven Gerrard, people like that are coming through. That they were the top players in the English Premier League, and they were the ones that even growing up watching a Frank Lampard. Players that played in your position were for me anyway, playing midfield. I love to watch and trying to learn from them.
Were you always a midfielder when you were a young lad? Because we all know that many players start in different positions and they end up playing professionally somewhere else. Were you always a midfielder?
No, my first ever game I played in goals. So that was my first ever game. I can remember it now clearly. It was a game for my Sunday league team, and I played in goals and I saved a penalty, and then I wanted to come out goals and play out field. So yeah, midfield I always played, but I could play a number of positions that I feel I could be comfortable at, but central midfield is probably my best position.
Was there one stadium that you always wanted to play when you were a young boy? Did you dream of playing in one stadium?
No, it's them all the great clubs over the years. Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham. It's but the top clubs in England really. Only recently I've been able to go to play at like Ellen Road and things like that. Traditional old English stadiums that I never ever got an opportunity because of Leeds, for instance, being in League One. Come up to the Championship now, and this season was the first time I played there, so it was a great atmosphere, and they're the grounds that you want to go to, the big ones, the special ones. Wembley, I'm lucky to play at, and no, it's been a great learning curve, really.
So while we're on the topic of Leeds, you played them, like you said. How good are they this season?
They're the best team. I think they have been the best team probably over the last 2 years. One or two difficult decisions last season, and obviously the Derby beat them in the playoffs. But I think for the last 2 years under Marcelo Bielsa, I think they've been the best team in the Championship, and they've done brilliant. You've got a good squad of players, and they deserve to be in the Premier League next season.
I'm pretty sure you have some mates playing at Leeds and stuff like that. How good is this Marcelo Bielsa, in your opinion?
Well, everybody talks about him being a genius, so I know that they work hard there. The lads, he's on them all the time, and it's sometimes it is tough where it's a lot of running and things like that. But they've got some good players in that team. People like Pablo Hernandez, Calvin Phillips. Liam Cooper at the back is a good defender. So they got a mix of everything really. So next season when they do go to the Premier League, listen, Leeds will be full every week, and if they can bring one or two in and use the model of a Sheffield United where it's been successful to have a core group of players and add the little sprinkles of players, then if you bring the right characters into the group, then they've got a good chance of staying into the Premier League.
Excellent. Just coming back to you again, Charlie, I'm just reading one of the articles that it's actually on Instagram. A fan a couple of years ago asked you if you actually should have stayed at Liverpool and fought for a place. And for that, you actually replied, yes, you should have actually stayed at Liverpool and fought for your place. I'd like to understand more about why you actually said that to the fan.
Because, I left probably one year too early. I'd worked so hard to get there. It was a great club. But when people get to know me, all I want to do the games, just be trained at Liverpool, So it was a decision that I made in my career. It was a decision that, I probably did take too early. But, I'm a professional footballer. I ended up playing 7 years at Stoke, and so I wouldn't change it. It was I felt at the time it was right. It's easy to look back in hindsight now and saying that I should have done that instead, but it is what it is. And no, I'm fortunate enough. I tell people this, that I'm one of the select few that get the opportunity to play for such a wonderful club, and I'm delighted for them to go and win in Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues and trophies like that. So it's a great club, good people there, and incredible support.
You came from Blackpool to then Liverpool. Was it easy for you to assimilate into that dressing room? Because you're coming from, I would say, a humble club, so to put, and come straight into the limelight with Liverpool, which is a global club in that sense. Did you fit in with the dressing room right away, or did you find some issues? There were the challenges for you.
No, it took me a few weeks to feel comfortable around players. Obviously the people that were there had done, been at the club a long time. They'd been successful, winning trophies. And it took me time to settle in. But once the game started, I ended up playing, I think, 37, 38 games for Liverpool. And people say that, it wasn't a great season. It wasn't a great season, but we got to 2 cup finals and we finished 8th in the league. So no, did I do okay? I done okay. So listen, it is what it is, and it was a great time. But no, I used my experiences from thinking. My experiences being at a club like Rangers was, it's a massive club, global club as well. But when you go to Liverpool, it's phenomenal as well. It's the buzz around these.
As an Everton fan, I got it. Yeah, no. As an Everton fan, what I wanted to ask is, I have to ask you this question: have you played in a Merseyside derby?
Yeah, I played in one of them. We beat Everton 1-2-0, I think it was, and I hit the bar in one of the games at Goodison Park. So it was a big win for us. Obviously, the derby games are big games.
Yeah.
And as long as if you win them, they're a great game.
Yeah, there's always special, isn't it? Again, picking up from one of the podcasts, your former teammate at Stoke, Robert Huth, he actually said someone asked him the most unprofessional player. He actually picked you up, which I thought was a little bit unfair. But why do you think he said that?
I don't know. I don't know if it was maybe a bit of tongue in cheek, but there's one thing I'm not as unprofessional. I work as hard as anybody every day in, day out. And maybe probably that he felt that he probably never seen me in the gym as much as everybody else, but I've gone 15 years, without really doing any of the gym or anything like that, you know. So maybe, I don't know. It's maybe tongue in cheek, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter really. I don't am talking on the pitch, quality there that I've got, and don't need, you know, these things don't matter to me really.
You know, there's also you know, fans that say that you actually look older than you actually look. Do you get affected by all these stuff, or do you get affected by all of this stuff?
No, I don't. It doesn't bother me. You know, listen. There's more things going. There's more troubles going on in the world than, you know, social media or people, you know, comments or saying things. You know, there's less fortunate people in this world going on. You know, people dying with disease, COVID, and, you know, the racist thing that's going on in the world at the moment. There's more important things than what people are saying about me, you know.
Do you pay attention? Are you on social media at all? I mean, you look like one of those players that don't pay too much attention to social media. Is that by choice?
I'm on social. No, I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. But when you go into the public eye, you're there for you're giving people an opportunity to have a go at you. So, you know, you've got to take it unless they cross the line. If it's, you know, there is a barrier where you go and there's a level, but if it is supporters, you know, you could see people making up fake accounts nowadays, and that's what everybody's doing, you know, and trying to get away with, you know, racially abusing players, which is disgusting, you know. So it is what it is, and we go on. But, you know, when you're on social media, put yourself in the public eye.
Let's talk about, I mean, of course, we know in professional football, you have, you know, real highs, but you also probably have more lows in your career. What was the lowest point in your career when you look back now?
The lowest point? Listen, I've had I think when you get relegated, I think is a low point in my career. You know, I've had some great times day in, day out in life, and, you know, but I'd probably say the two relegations, Blackpool and Stoke getting relegated from the Premier League, they're the two lowest points in my career. You know, they were tough because there were two great clubs I was at, and you know, unfortunately for Stoke now, they're in the Championship, and, you know, they've struggled this season, but it looks like, you know, obviously they're safe now, and they can hopefully rebuild the football club. They've got a good manager, Michael O'Neill, and looks like he's got, you know, to grips with what's going on, and hopefully he can rebuild and be successful.
People talk a lot about mental resilience and, of course, toughness and stuff like that. You know, you've gone through some tough times, like you just mentioned. What are the tips that you can actually share that you can lift you out from that lowest point of your life? What do you do, or is there anything that you can share with people that, you know, they can help themselves?
Yeah. Well, with the relegations, I just have your family around you, have the right people supporting you, and, you know, it would take time to get over, but you get over it. So it's tough, but I keep going back to it. You know, it is football, and there is worse things going on. So, you know, maybe for a week or so I'm a bit down and, you know, upset, but as time goes on, you know, you seem to try and move on and see where it takes you.
I want to talk about, you know, when you have a bad game. Are you the kind that like to talk about it, or are you the guy that doesn't want to talk to anyone?
A bit both, really. I know myself if I've had a bad game. If I have a bad game, I have a bad game. I don't, you know, I try not to let it affect going home, you know. But as the older I've got, you know, if I have a bad game, I have a bad game. You know, it's I get on with it. You know, I look back on my clips and I look back on what I've done wrong and in the week and try and improve and do it that way. But, you know, everybody can have a bad game. It's just, you know, have you done anything different that's made you have a bad game, or, you know, did your opponent get the better of you? And you just got to sit and analyse that and move forward to the next game.
I want to come back to your time in Blackpool. You made that move to Liverpool because obviously you had a stellar season with Blackpool. Were there any other clubs that actually came in for you besides Liverpool?
I had a little bit of a sniff from Tottenham with Harry Redknapp was manager, but apart from that, no. There was only I'd went to when I was at Blackpool when I first signed in the January of the first season I'd been there. Middlesbrough come to try and get me under Gordon Strachan. We had a few talks and they wanted to sign me, but apart from that, there was nothing really. It was just Blackpool, and then obviously the Liverpool thing come around, and maybe a little bit of an interest from Tottenham, but no, that was it really.
During that time, was there a club that you would have, of course Liverpool is a massive club, but is there a club outside of England that you would have loved to play for because you were at the top of your game then?
No, it's listen, I always believe that you're only as good as your options, and you know, my option at that time was Liverpool Football Club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. So where else do you want? Where else could you go unless I was fortunate enough I got an opportunity to go to Liverpool. Great people there, like I said before, wonderful fan base, and that Champions League finals, finishing second to Man City, now getting over the line and going above Man City and winning the title this year. So it's the club's going in the right direction and moving forward.
I want to ask you, Stoke City, because there's a famous saying that can you do it on a rainy night at Stoke, right? Everybody talks about that.
Yeah.
Is it really that hard?
No, it's a myth. It's a myth. What's the difference between going to Stoke and going to a Burnley on a Tuesday night where it's raining, it's wet, the players? It's just something that they got used to under Tony Pulis. They put a lot of balls in the box, crosses and throw-ins and free kicks and corners, and just a tough night. But it's one of them. You get a bit. If I was an opposing player going to Stoke on a Tuesday night, wet, rain, I'd relish the challenge. So there's nothing to fear. It's 11v11. There's nothing different. I just think that it's made more of it than it is. At the time when I was there with good players, with good teams, and it is what it is. But they use it to their advantage. A lot of the foreign players seem to not like it, and that's great for them.
You're part of the team that actually beat Liverpool 6-1.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because in one of the interviews, Ryan Shawcross, he mentioned that the dressing room went into laughter, like shocked into laughter.
Yeah, we obviously, I think it was 5-0 at the time at half time, and we walked in the dressing room at half time, and we were just, we were surprised and laughing at each other that we were 5-0 up against a very good Liverpool team, and in the end we beat them 6-1. But it was it was a great game, and it was a great way to finish the season.
I want to talk a little bit about your children, Jack and Annabelle. Are they into sports as well?
Yeah, so my oldest boy is coming up 14. He enjoys it, and he's at that age at 14. But the two little ones, they're into it. My little boy, my youngest one, who's 3, Louis, he loves it. We kick the ball around every day if we can, and we're starting to go the little coaching lessons and things like that. So he enjoys it, and the girls, she loves it as well. She loves playing. She loves the fact that Daddy is a footballer, because she can watch iPad and things like that. So she a lot, but she does a lot of horse riding, and she's very good at that. So it's great for the kids, and
right.
We've done okay.
Good stuff. We will go into this round where we call rapid fire. I'm going to ask you a couple of, nothing serious, some questions that people, probably see the other side of you before we end off this interview. What about the best player you ever played with?
Best player I played with, probably. I played with Steven Gerrard. I played with Luis Suarez. But listen, I'm fortunate enough. I played with people like Peter Crouch, people that the people would know. So yeah, these are the best players that I play well. Love to play with Marko Arnautovic. Thought he was brilliant. He had a bit of everything, you know. He was a top player, and yeah, so they were the best players probably.
The best player you played against, your best opponent that you came across?
People ask me this a lot, and it's a tough question because I'm fortunate enough I played against the best. You know what I mean? Xavi, Iniesta, Scholes,
Yeah.
Giggs, Essien, Lampard, Yaya Toure.
Looks like too many to name them.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, these top players are the top players for a reason, and you know, I was lucky to have same pitches as them.
Good stuff. If this was your final game and you needed to bring 3 mates on, who would those be? 3 players be?
For the last game.
Yeah, if this is, let's say, your final game. Yeah.
Oh, that I've played with.
Anyone that you want to, yeah.
Oh, any player in the world.
Well, I suppose your mates, right? I think that makes more sense, right? A bit more. Yeah. People that you don't.
3 players I've played with. Well, yeah, I would probably bring out. You know, Steven Gerrard would be able to bring him on. Luis Suarez would definitely have to come on, and
it's a tough one, isn't it?
Someone else. Yeah. I'll go with Peter Crouch because he causes trouble for everyone.
Yeah, he does.
In the box.
Yeah, he does. Favorite football memory to date?
I think the winning the Carling Cup obviously was amazing at Liverpool, but getting promoted with Blackpool from the Championship to the Premier League was phenomenal.
Best goal you ever scored?
The best goal was that goal against Cardiff at Liverpool.
Cardiff, Liverpool. Okay. Yeah. One player that you would have loved to play alongside?
So many. I'd go for Paul Scholes.
Yeah, good choice. What advice would you give your teenage self?
My teenage self?
Yeah.
Surround yourself with the right people. Make sure you've got the right people. That's it, really.
Right. Is there one thing that no one knows about you?
No, there's nothing, no hidden secrets about me, no.
All right. Favorite book, if any?
Favorite book? I'm currently in the moment, I'm reading Pep Guardiola's one when he was for the first season at Bayern Munich. So that's, I'm reading that at the moment. And I'm also reading a book about, what's his name? It's I'm not too sure. I can't remember what it's called, but I've got the book over in the corner. But it's Pep's one at the moment is one when he was at Bayern Munich, so that's an interesting read.
So is that kind of preparing yourself for life as a manager after this then?
Yes, hopefully. At the moment, just trying to read and pick up the things and listen to all the managers and pick up the details that you can and listen to podcasts because, you can pick up things from these managers and these great people that are in different industries as well. So I'm trying to gather information and try and take it and then divulge it into what you feel, how you're going to set your team up and look after your own group. And, every player and every individual is different. So you've got to try and prepare it. And you've got to look after your team, and let's say you've got 25 individual players.
No, absolutely. Your go-to movie?
I'm not a big fan of movies. I don't really. I'll watch the odd Netflix series. Power and things like that were great, but it's just I'd prefer to watch a football match than go and watch the series. So that's what I do.
Okay, you're a true blue footballer then.
Yeah.
Favorite meal on a Sunday afternoon?
Obviously, my wife likes to have some, the roast and things like that. So yeah, but my favourite all-time food is definitely steak. I love a steak and some nice chips and things like that.
If there's one incident that you could change in your life, what will it be?
There's no incidents. At the end of the day, the decision that was obviously something that it could be wrong, and you just make sure you decision again and make the
right. Thank you so much for your time, Charlie. I really appreciate it, and you know, you're good to get behind the person, the personality, and of course the name.
Yes, thank you very much.
I wish you all the best, and all the best for the last game, and of course the future, because it does look as though you're going to head in the management direction, and hopefully one day we will see you in the Premier League.
Yeah, hopefully. You never know. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, take care. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Charlie Adam again for this interview. And that brings us to the end of Sports Stories with Sasi, brought to you by MatchDay Affairs. Please visit their website, www.matchdayaffairs.com. They've been very kind in supporting our content. So please visit their website and also their Facebook page, like and share their Facebook page. They actually organize tours to the Premier League games. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, they can't carry on with their business. So we are here to actually help them amplify their message as well. So make sure, do us a favor, if you like this sort of interviews, make sure you help us by going and visiting our sponsors website, www.matchdayaffairs.com, and like and share the Facebook page. All right. Thank you so much for joining us for this interview. I really appreciate it. Till the next series or the next episode in Sports Stories with Sasi. This is Sasi Kumar signing off. Thank you.